What is up, guys? This is Pinzo back with another video today, and what I have for you guys is patch notes. I wasn't going to do patch notes, and then I decided I was going to do patch notes. So you guys are getting patch notes. We got patch notes today, and it is version 0.3. This is the Revenant patch. We got the patch notes. The patch itself will not go live until Tuesday the 24th. So keep that in mind. This patch is not live. It will be live Tuesday. If you guys are watching when this comes out next Tuesday. Otherwise, it was live on the 24th if you're watching this after the 24th. There you go. So we're going to jump into this. Before we do, obviously, guys, I am still sponsored by HelloFresh. I will have my code and link in the description. It's 21 free meals plus free shipping. It's a really good deal. It's pretty crazy. Unfortunately, NA only, just so you guys know. But it's a really good deal. I highly recommend you guys check it out. Meal prep service. Everything comes in a bag, and it gives you the instructions, and you cook it. It's really good. I really like them. Big fan. We're gonna jump into this. I'm gonna try and not lollygag too much. So this is all basically saying blah 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 blah. This is the part that matters. Patch 0.4, so the Shinbi patch, I'm assuming, will address ADC items, as well as improving ranged auto attacks. I don't know what that part means, but you won't see any ADC changes in this. They'll be coming. They're coming. Trust me. Revenant is in here. So to explain Revenant's kit, you have to start with his right click. Revenant has a revolver and it has 4 shots in it. You ping, ping, ping. Last shot automatically crits. Because of this auto crits, you can see here, this is alternate ability, right mouse button, Hellfire rounds. The 4th shot will always critically hit, and it also does bonus damage based on their missing health. Because of this auto crit, Revenant's critical scaling is lower than your normal characters. So a character like Murdoch, Sparrow, every other character in the game has 200% critical scaling, meaning a crit does double damage. Revenant's is lower, so it scales with your right click. As you level up your right click, your scaling gets higher, up to 175% late game. If you guys are familiar with Smite, this is Heimdall's passive. Heimdall also has a lower crit chance because he has higher base damage, or he has higher power scaling for his autos. That's what this is doing. It's making it so that because you have guaranteed crits, because you have higher scaling in the kit, you're getting less crit damage to balance it out. This is a good pre-forethought from Omida. This is a good change. So we'll get into the actual passive now, which basically says you gain a bunch of power. Revenant, he does not gain attack speed. Attack speed makes his reload go faster, but it doesn't actually make him shoot faster. So because of this, you gain 5% base plus 1.5 per hero level. So this is 32% late game. Also, you gain 0.1% per critical chance. So you gain another about 10% if you have 100% crit. So 42% late game, increased physical power. Late game, Revenant just has 40% more physical power based on what he's built. So because of this, he has a bunch of extra power. Keep in mind, he can only shoot like 1 bullet a second. So he might crit you for 1,000 or 1,200, but that's it. That's his DPS per second, right? So like as a character like Sparrow can still out DPS him if Sparrow hits all her shots. On top of this, he gets bonus gold when killing enemy heroes. His Q, if you guys are familiar with Paragon, you know what this looks like. Same Q. He like coughs out. I don't know exactly what it is. It kind of looks like he throws up, but he shoots out like 10 missiles it's a cone in front of him, and they randomly hit people within it. So if there's only one target within it, all 10 shots will hit the same target. If there's 10 targets, each person will get hit by 1. So it's good if you can isolate someone with this. Otherwise, it's kind of going to be trash damage, fairly low cooldown. This does fairly good damage based on your physical power. It also has magical power scaling, which I think is really interesting. I don't think you're going to build Revenant with magical power, but interesting that they throw it in there. Landing subsequent hits against enemy heroes deals 15% damage. So I'm assuming this means 15% less damage and or 15% total damage. You're not going to be able to one-tap someone because it's going to do less damage if you hit someone with the whole thing. You're not going to be able to do 400 damage a bullet 10 times, right? That's not going to happen. It's going to be 400 and then it's going to reduce. Scar is his second ability, so this is going to be a kind of like a stim. You put a mark onto somebody. This says launches a projectile. I really hope this is a skill shot. I think that'd be really interesting if you guys have played Overprime. Overprime's Scar, whatever they call it, Revenant's E and Overprime is a lock-on. I really hope this is a skill shot. It deals damage when it hits them. It applies a scar. The next X number of times you damage them, scaling up as you level the ability. The damage will apply a stacking slow and deal extra bonus magic damage. So a percent of that damage will be dealt as bonus magic damage. You can stack a slow on it. So obviously, right, the combo is going to be EQ, and then they're gonna be really slow. It's gonna do a bunch of extra damage. Really good combo, fun abilities. Right click, we already went over this. You press right click to reload. Other than that, your fourth shot will always crit bonus damage, but you get less crit damage. His ultimates, this is the same ultimate from Paragon. You basically pick someone on the enemy team, and both of you enter the Nether Realm. If it's the exact same, no one else exists. You guys are alone on this plane. No one else can hit you, and you guys can only hit each other. This has a small root attached to it when you use it, but that doesn't matter too much. Killing someone doubles the gold bounty. So if you can get like 2,000 gold from this if you ult someone who has a large bounty. Really cool character. I think he's going to be very good. I would expect him to release pretty strong, but I will also be doing a character tier list and an item tier list after the patch comes out. After I play on the patch for a bit, I will release those tier lists for you guys sometime late next week. So moving into the actual patch, we're getting the profile tab, which is big. So we're getting a super limited early access icons based only on what package you have. CS bounties, this one actually matters a little bit. Normally you get bounties on you when you kill enemy heroes. The more kills you have, the more you're worth when you get killed. So you'll give more gold if you have more kills. Now, if you have way more CS than everyone else in the lobby, you will also give bonus gold when you're killed. So it's just something to keep in mind. I don't really like this. It kind of punishes you for farming really well. I kind of think the bounty should be limited to just kills. That way, if you're farming really well, there's not an easy punish, but that's just me. Post-match screens. So this might be the biggest change of the patch, actually. Now there are 2 post-match screens. You can add people from these post-match screens. You can add friends from them. And on top of that, it'll show exactly what you see here. KDA, killing spree, multi-kills, damage to heroes, all that kind of stuff. This is going to be a really big change to this. I'm really glad to see this come in. Weekly leaderboards. So each week, if you play 10 games, you are eligible to make the weekly leaderboard. They will be showcasing the top 100 players. I'm assuming this is global based on their internal MMR, and this is really cool. I really like this. It's going to cause me to grind. I know that. I'm sure that everyone else will also be grinding, but I think this is really cool. End of match survey, just tell them how your match was. Matchmaking improvements. So parties will now be, is this down here? No, so this is talking about the parties. So parties will increase your MMR. So you will be placed against higher skill opponents if you guys are playing in a 5-stack, which is good. You should be. On top of that, matchmaking is supposed to get better. So if you win a lot of games, I would expect you to I'd expect longer queues. That's all. They fixed a couple bugs. Penalty system, you guys can pause this and read the penalties. They basically are good. They stick around for a long time. This is a good change. Chat mod update. Their auto mod is pretty weak right now, so this is kind of just making it stronger. Other improvements, they added a new sensitivity. They call it ADS. I'm assuming this is ability aiming. So while you have a targeter on the ground, I'm assuming that's what this is. I don't know positively, but I'm assuming that's what this is. Moving into hero balance. So, showing us off. Countess. A lot of these are bug fixes, so I'm going to kind of zoom through this. Recommend jungle starts you with the blue buff instead of the red buff. Crunch. Recrunch, you no longer heal from the passive by autoing minions. This is actually a really big change because you don't get to go full health from Crunch. You don't get to go from 1 health to full health by clearing a jungle camp. So this is actually a pretty big change. Faye. So you're going to see this with a couple of the other mages. They're taking power out of scaling and putting it into base numbers. I don't know why they're doing this. I think this is a little bit of an odd change, but that's what they're doing. I think a lot of this issue is from Fangtooth, but that's a whole other discussion. Basically, Faye is getting a little bit more early game scaling, or a little bit early game damage buff to her Q, which is her line. Her E is getting a small scaling nerf, but a decent base damage increase. It's getting a projectile speed increase. This E is going to be a pretty spooky ability early game. I'm not going to lie. You level your E first on Faye. Max your E, 100%. Faye's ultimate gets a bit of counterplay added to it, where the distance to break the latch is shortened. So now if you're caught on the very edge, you can kind of walk away from it, or you can blink away from it and you can actually get out. On top of that, it has a slightly longer delay from when you get latched to when you get pulled. Good changes. Gideon gets the same treatment as Faye, where he gets more damage on his Q, but less scaling. Same with his right click. His right click gets a pretty big cooldown change as well. I don't like this so much, and I'll get into why once we get to items. You guys will understand. Howitzer can act a little bit faster after he uses his Q, and his right click gets gutted. So there's less mines. They deploy in a tighter formation, and they do way less damage. So this is 5 less damage late game on the final ability, and 2% less scaling per mine. A pretty big nerf. I think this is necessary. His mines were a pretty oppressive ability. I didn't like him before. I think this will be good. Bellica, again, so this looks like it's a decreased stun. This is the same thing that happened to Howie. So she can act faster after using her Q. So basically, the delay after using your Q is reduced by 0.2 seconds. This is good. Void Drone now correctly scales off of your magical power. So each shot from Void Drone will now correctly deal 20% of your magical power. It was apparently bugged before. Still, I don't think that makes this a good ability to start. Alchemical Rod gets the Leviathan treatment. It will now take twice as long to stack. I still think this item's really good. I still think you go this item a lot of the time on mid laners. This is still a really good item. It just takes longer to stack. Bloodlust gets renamed. Mind Razor gets its passive renamed. Again, a lot of these are pretty small, so I'm just going to kind of breeze through them. Astral Catalyst, description fixed. Azure Core, we just talked about this, twice as long to stack. Combustion gets extra mana on it, which I don't think this was a bad item before. Adding mana to this I don't think it's a bad thing. You're just going to build it with Azure Core still, just like you were before. Lifebinder. So this is the big one. This is what I was waiting for, talking about the mage heroes. So Lifebinder gets a rework. Gets restatted. It gets a new passive. Gets rid of an old passive. Lifebinder now gives 60 power instead of 50. Now gives 10% lifesteal instead of 15. So you're losing lifesteal but gaining some power. You no longer gain 15 tenacity. This used to give 15 tenacity. It does not. Now you gain 10 ability haste from this. So the stats on this item are a little more centered towards, it still has 250 health. It's a little more centered towards mages rather than sort of like bruisers that want the tenacity, that don't need as much power, need more lifesteal. This is now a mage item. Recipe change. So the passive removed the leech passive. The leech passive is the one that was if you hit a slowed enemy or if you hit a CC'd enemy, you burst healed and it did bonus damage or something, or you gain movement speed. I think actually it burst healed you and you gain movement speed. That passive gone. Now you get this passive. Gain 0.5% bonus health ability haste per 50 magic power. Sounds kind of complex, but let me explain. If you have 200 magic power, you will be gaining 2% of your bonus health as ability haste. With 200 magical power, you have 4 stacks of this item. 4 stacks mean that you are gaining 0.5% 4 times. So 2% of your bonus health as ability haste. Assuming bonus health means health from items, right? Not just your base health. With the binder build, you are ending games with like 1200 bonus health. So 1% is 12. Even if you only have 1,000, 1% is 10. So, you're talking, if you have 200 magic power, you're talking about getting 20 ability haste from this item on top of the 10 that it already provides. If you have 400 magical power, you're talking about getting 40 haste from this. This item is going to be very, very good. Again, I will do an item tier list next week. This item will be, I guarantee, will be very good if it releases as this. Golem's Gift gets a shift. You now get you get more stacks, but they're worth less. So before, Golem Gift had 4 stacks. Each stack gave 10 prots, 10 power. When you got hit, you lost a stack. So once you got hit 4 times, you lost all your stacks. Now you get 5 stacks, but they're each worth 6 prots, 6 power, I believe, which will cause you to be able to take more damage while keeping the passive, but each stack is worth a little less. On top of this, it lost some base power, but got some base ability haste increase. So still be good on like Sevarog, but I wouldn't really build it on anyone else. Oblivion Crown gets nerfed. This item was pretty broken. So the passive on this that gives you bonus ability, bonus magical power goes from 35% to 15%. That's fine. This is old. It gets a new passive, which if you guys are familiar with like Season 2 Smite, this is Soul Reaver. So every 30 seconds when you hit an enemy hero with an ability, they take an additional 8% of their current health as magical damage. It's a big burst damage item now with a long cooldown. Still think it's fairly good. Again, this is kind of a luxury item, and I think it now fills that spot. Before it was sort of a must build, and now it's a luxury item. Prophecy description was fixed. Tainted Scepter. This is another big one. This is an item that goes in the binder build. Keep in mind this item has 20 haste on it and 350 health on top of power, right? So this is already a good item for the binder build. This is really good. So if you guys don't know what Tainted Scepter's second passive is, first passive is obviously anti-heal. Second passive is when you can gain up to 15 stacks. You gain a stack per second up to 15. When you hit an enemy hero, they take true damage equal to or based on how many stacks you have. So it was 6 per stack. So you could deal up to whatever that is, 90 true damage on an ability. Now that true damage has 1% magical power per stack, meaning that after 15 seconds of not hitting anyone, your next ability will do 15% of your magical power as true damage on top of the tiny bit of base damage this has, which got reduced a little bit. This is going to be a broken item. This binder build will be top tier. It will be untradeable. It is crazy. You guys will see. I will post videos about it next week. Obviously, item tier list on the way. This and Life Binder are at the top. Viper was apparently giving 50 power this whole time, so that's kind of epic. Oh, and Leviathan got a name change. So Leviathan, obviously, it became an anti-heal item. It is now called Tainted Bastion. There you go. Bug fixes, I will leave this up here for a fat second. You guys can pause and read these. None of these are super impactful. From what I could tell, none of these are like huge. They did remove the BR potion from the collections tab, which I always thought was funny because there's just an extra potion in there that didn't do anything. You guys can read up on these. I don't think there's anything broken in here. I don't think there's any of these that are huge. I read through most of them, but that's actually the entire patch. So I think that tanky mages, will be broken next patch. Watch out for Sevarog, because he also might be able to get away with this build, so just be careful. Mages are going to be cracked. Revenant, I think, will also be good. Keep in mind, carry changes will be coming in patch 0.4, I'm assuming with Shinbi in about a month. That's when we will get the carry changes to the items. So that's why no carry items were hit, just to keep that in mind. Patch drops Tuesday. Be there, be square. I will be there live streaming it on Tuesday at twitch.tv/PenzoDunzo. So you guys can go check that out. Otherwise, be here, be square. Thank you guys for watching. That's all I've got for you guys. So, as always, I've been Penzo. This video is Dunzo. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.